You'll be using the library and probably other resources like websites and other places where popular culture is present to help you look at this particular topic. And I'll give you an example of a topic that's been used a lot, and that is suicide. So let's assume that you have taken the topic of suicide. The first thing you're going to do is write an introduction to talk about why it's such an important issue in our culture. You're wanting to look at least two scholarly resources and two popular culture resources to explain how the issue of suicide is present in our culture and why it's so significant. The second part of the project is an annotated bibliography, and for this you will do a minimum of 5 of the 7 areas that I've listed here, and if you come up with an extra area, feel free to add that as well. But you're going to look at each one and you're going to do a citation in APA format. You're going to describe how this relates to your topic. Then you're going to describe your personal reactions to it, and an important piece is how can you use this in either grief counseling or death education. Remember that if you choose an item to look at and after looking at it carefully decide that it really would not be appropriate, then you need to find something else, because what you're aiming for here is a resource bibliography that you can actually use in the future. So these are the different resources you can choose from. A trade book, that's a non-academic book for the popular press. So these would be any of the novels that you might have read, or a self-help book that you've seen out and about, that kind of a thing. The third would be news media, and that would be either an online newspaper like the Huffington Post or the New York Times or whatever newspaper is appropriate for the area where you live. The fourth is a popular magazine article here, something like Psychology Today or Time or Life or you name it. Next would be a television program, and make sure it's a program that you have not used in the course previously. Another would be a film or a movie. It can be either a documentary or it can be a traditional movie. Then you would have music or a song. And again, don't use a song that you used in your posting for the music section of the course. Look for new resources, because what you're trying to compile here is a list that's going to be useful for you. The third section is where you sort of pull it all together. I want you to talk about how the presence or absence of this issue in popular culture, how it affects society, is that impact positive or negative, and does the content that you presented in the resources either contradict or agree with the material that you found in scholarly literature? Be sure that you provide examples from the resources and include sources of support. At least 2 of them need to be from scholarly literature. Finally, you want to wrap up your paper. You want to make it clear what you've learned as a result of this particular project and how it can be useful in your work and in your own personal life. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to contact me, and remember those deadlines.